Yay, I'm so excited for this conversation today. Hey, Jackie, how are you?
I'm doing really well. I'm happy to be here.
Yay, I know I'm so happy to have this conversation with you. I feel like it's a long time coming and share you with my audience. So thank you so much for being here and sharing space and finding time. I know you have so much going on too. So thank you.
Oh, thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, absolutely. So let me introduce you real quick before we dive into the conversation. But Jacquie Metzger, she is a master sound and energy healer who works with people that are seeking deep healing and spiritual growth. She uses a variety of healing instruments, which I have experienced a lot of these healing instruments with her. We'll get into that later, but she uses instruments, she uses her voice, and more than 10 varieties of energy healing modalities to create custom private and group sessions. And I just have to share like personal experience too, because I have known Jacquie for a couple years now. So um, but I experienced my first session with her up in at one of our celebrations, and it was so loud outside. There, we were in like a crowded space, and I was like, I'm just gonna come sit and just have you just kind of like stand over me and just do your thing. And it was just the most beautiful and powerful thing ever because it was right before Jackson was having surgery. He was having surgery. I was flying back on a Sunday. He was having surgery that Tuesday. And she was like, I just feel like there was like this woman holding this little boy's hand and it was near the water and, just kind of a message of like, it's going to be okay. And I was like, you had no idea, like my son's having surgery. And just to kind of put me at ease. And it was at that moment, I was like, I'm going to work with you. You need to come talk to our chapter. Like people here at the beach need to know you because she just has this way of knowing. And she always says, like, I don't know how this all works, but it's so magical and amazing. And I'm just like a super fan. I say you're one of my human mentors and guides right now. But okay, anyway, so here's Jacquie. She's incredible, just so you guys all know. There you go, Jacquie.
I'm like, yeah, I'm speechless now. Thank you so
Oh,
much. So thank you for being
yeah.
open to receiving. That is a huge part of the relationship that you have as a client healer. It is the openness in you that allows the energy to flow more easily. So it makes my job easier.
Yeah, and it is. And I think, I always kind of go into these things open. And I would say, for anyone that has never had any kind of energy healing or is even like, what the heck is that? Like, maybe we can dive into that because I'm sure there's a lot of people that are like, is this all woo woo? Like, what is this? Does this even work? Like, it sounds like science fiction. Like, is this a hoax? Like, what is this? Because I'm sure there's so many people that are like that. But if you're open, just like you said, there's so much magic and so much healing that can come from it. So could you just kind of explain a little bit about what you do or like an aspect of it or kind of give like a 1.0 for people that maybe have never even heard of energy healing?
Yeah, sure. Well, we're energetic beings. You think, I mean, our bodies are these miraculous machines, our heart pumps, all these systems going in our body. And so just what it can do on its own is incredible, and everything vibrates. That's not woo, that's science. I'm much more woo than science. I don't know all the technical parts of that. But there's proof that we are vibrating. Um, we're just energetic beings. And so I intentionally connect with the earth, to my higher power, to my spiritual team, I like to call them, and ask for their support and energy to flow. And so that's what comes through. And I've always been intuitive. I've always been able to see and hear things that other people maybe aren't as aware of. And so I've just continued to tap into that. And so that's how I'm able to have visions and hear messages and things like that. And I really just open it up. I try not to overthink it, just receiving and sharing exactly how it comes through. And then it's up to the other person to receive it however it feels best for them. But everybody can channel energy. You don't have to take classes. Taking classes is great and it creates a community and it can expand your knowledge and abilities. But really, even just go stand outside barefoot. Like you will be channeling the energy of the earth. Just sit next to a tree, just becoming aware of the feeling of other people. Most people, they can go into a room or they're next to someone, you're like, oh, I don't feel great in this room, or that person
Mhm.
maybe is going to be my best friend. Like, just keep tuning into that. That's energy. Like, you
Mhm.
are reading energy all the time. We just don't realize it.
Yeah. And so you said that you were able to do this kind of like forever, like since like, did you do this as a kid, like, and just not know what it was? And then kind of as you got older, you were like, oh, that's what this is? Or did you always know, or did it come later in life? How did that happen for you?
Yeah, so how I was raised in a pretty spiritual way, and so encouraged to pray all the time, and it was much more structured, and the men in the community were the healers. So I was receiving hands-on healing all my life, like from a baby, and
Wow.
receiving readings. They just called it something different, and so it was just always a part of my life. And then when I left that community, things just started. Books were coming into my awareness and people were coming into my life. I've been meditating for a really long time, so that just evolved.
Yeah.
And then having cancer, just life changes that shifts your perspective and you become more open to changing. And then Lyme disease, and then I found like what we call energy healing now, like Reiki. That was the first one that I found. And I was like, okay, this is
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. Can you
And
explain what that is? Because I haven't had anyone on yet really talking about Reiki. So if somebody is like, I have no idea what that is, it's totally foreign to me. Can you give like a little synopsis of what Reiki is?
yeah. Reiki is originally came from Japan, and in the 1800s, the late 1800s, by a man who basically received this download of this beautiful healing modality. And of course, he wanted to share it with everybody. And so
Yeah.
it has changed and evolved over the years, and especially coming to the West, it changes and evolves. But basically, you're opening yourself up to divine healing energy, divine healing light. It is like that God spark, if you want to call it that. And it's just this beautiful, loving, kind energy that we channel on the behalf of others. We're not using our own energy. And I think that's the important distinction. Energy healers, we're channeling energy. We're not healing. It's just easier to say we're healers instead of being like, well, I'm a divine channel of light kind of thing.
Okay.
That's super woo.
Yeah. I see that.
Yeah. And two, like I'm just a more spiritual, that's my personality more than science, but there have been a lot of studies done with healers and being able to measure the hertz coming from hands of healers practicing Reiki and other modalities. So it's just energy, it's frequency, it's vibration that we're
Wow.
intentionally channeling.
Yeah. And but not anyone can do, like, obviously, like Reiki, like you have to go study that and practice it
Right.
and things like that. So you're not saying, oh, anyone can just go out and like, oh, you can channel energy and then you're a Reiki master. Like that
Oh,
does like
right.
require a lot of like classes and courses and things like that and intentional time put into it. But yeah. So when you do a session, like, are you using Reiki and all the other things too? Or how does that work when you're doing a session? Because when I've done sessions with you, it's virtual. So people are like, well, wait, how does this work? Like, don't you have to be in the same room to feel someone's energy or feel the energy? How does that work on the tube? We're going to put this on
Right.
YouTube. Like, wait a second, you're saying like you can feel energy virtually? Like, how does that work?
Yeah. And thankfully, yeah, energy has no limits. I mean, again, we can read each other's energy just by looking at each other, even talking on the phone. You don't even have to be talking or I do energy healing at different times for people, like when they're sleeping, or we can send it to the future.
Oh my gosh,
Super woo.
not your woo now.
Right.
I love it.
Um, yeah, but it really it has no limits or boundaries. Any limits or boundaries we've placed on that because our human brains really can't comprehend that easily.
Yeah.
And so I think we really proved it in the ways, I'm sure some people would say no, but in my experience, especially since COVID, when we were forced to go online, and then my clients who had been with me in person and couldn't, they were surprised at how much they could feel. And I was already doing distance sessions before that, but then, I had to. And then that just really opened things up. I think I gained more confidence in it as well. And now I have clients all over the world And I receive healing virtually a lot as well. And it's just as powerful, if not more so, depending on your environment. If you can be comfy in your own space,
Yeah.
that's really powerful. And then you can just relax into it once the session is done in your own space. Now, some people, they don't have a relaxing space at home. And so
Yeah.
going in person is best for them.
Yeah. So like, busy moms, if they have like kids running around and they're like trying to relax and like you're trying
Yeah.
to, it's like, okay, this isn't going to work. So when we've done sessions, like I have gone to my basement because I knew like my kids were going to be around, and then I had headphones in or earphones in. And then I was also like up in my room where it was like I could lay down and I could be comfy and have my blanket and be in a space where I felt safe. And being able to be open and receive too.
Hmm.
Like you said, I think is important, but knowing like, okay, what's coming up? Where are the people in my house going to be? And where can I be comfortable where I can just kind of relax into whatever happens?
Yeah, and healing is different for everybody. Like how people experience energy healing, sound healing. Sound healing is also energy. It's all energy healing. We just give different names and it shows up in different ways. Some people have it goes all to like their intuitive abilities. Like some people can have vision, some people hear messages, some people have physical sensation, some people just know, some people have a combination.
Mhm.
And so it's really how their body wants to receive. And no matter how it shows up, it's always beautiful.
Yeah.
It's special to them.
Right. So you do Reiki, and then behind you, so like if you're listening on the podcast, you're not going to be able to see this, but if you go watch on YouTube, and you see like behind Jacquie, she has these beautiful white bowls, which I've had the opportunity to hear her play those 3 times. A private session that she did for a group in a meeting, and then at the beach, she did a sound healing session. And I know you said everything is energy, but can you talk about the bowls too, and just how that works into it? If everyone's like, what do you, I can go like play one of my like cereal bowls
Right?
in the kitchen, like, okay, like now I can play bowls. I don't know. Because
Yeah.
it's so magical, like how you do it, and the sounds. And I am huge on sounds, and I think I've always been like that since a little kid too. Like I love hearing things, and I've always loved music and chanting and things like that. So the
Mhm.
bowls were something new to me, when I first heard them, when we like over a year ago, and I was like, oh my gosh, these are like magical.
They are like I love them so much. And if you're watching live, there's only half of them. I have another
Oh
set
my
in
gosh.
my in-person space.
Yeah.
So these are crystal bowls, and so they take quartz sand and they form them into these beautiful bowls, and each one has a different note. And there are the regular notes and also sharp notes as well. And you can also connect them to chakras. So that's the more woo side of it, is that each note is also connected to a chakra. Those are our energy centers in the body, if you've not heard of that before.
Mhm.
And yeah, they all different sizes. And so the bigger the bowl, usually, the lower the tone, and the smaller the bowl, the higher the tone.
Okay.
Traditionally, I do have a small bowl that's like has a really low tone, which I think is interesting.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
also using drums and Tibetan bowls and chimes, and they all just resonate in the body. You think of it's that sound is resonating, and our bodies are 70% water, and it's like doing this gentle motion within your body. It's just relaxing your muscles, it's releasing stress and tension. And if you can go into an altered state of consciousness, that's when you can start having spiritual experiences as
Mhm.
well. Or you fall asleep.
Yeah.
That's fine too.
Yeah, I know when you did the sound healing at the library, there was a bunch of us and it was in a room, and Jacquie was in the middle, and I was like, I had brought like a pillow and a blanket because I typically like will get cold, like I'll get super chilly or I'll get super hot, but I don't like to be cold ever. I feel like I have my blanket and Uggs with me anywhere in the world, like wherever I am, because I'm like, I'm always get chilly. I don't know, but it was just magical, and like I did feel like feelings in my body and like sensations, and then I just started like shaking a little bit, and got super cold, and yeah, but people were falling asleep because I could hear someone snoring.
Yes.
Which is awesome because it's like that means like they were so relaxed. Like they're, that's what
Yeah.
I love about it is there's nothing wrong with however anybody reacts. Someone might stay wide awake the whole time. I just think it's so amazing and something that I feel like at some point in your life when you're ready, it's a great experience to
Mhm.
have, whether it is, okay, it's just a direct sound healing session, or it isn't a Reiki session, or when you do a session, you kind of use a bunch of different things, don't you? Kind of whatever you feel is needed or what you receive.
Yes. So I've studied several. I don't even know how many now at this point. There was a time where I was like, and next, and I wanted everything, and
Yeah,
then I calmed down and like
right.
really started focusing on the things that I feel most connected to, but also when you are open yourself up to this, and this is my life. So my meditation practice, my devotional practice to the divine is it's a lot, I mean, this is my job, this is my life, and so I receive different types of modalities myself. So I have probably about four other ones that I've received. I haven't like created classes or anything like that, but I'll receive and I can feel the difference in frequencies. And so then I'll ask my guides, because I like names of things, to ask like, what do we call this? And
Yeah.
so like one is divine healing light, one is quantum DNA and soul healing, another is 12 points of light and 12 strands of spiritual DNA. And some of these things I'm like, what does that even mean?
Yeah.
And so I have to like search for it, or ask more questions of my guides. But to me, those details don't matter. It's what is in the best interest for the highest good of the person receiving, and I am a channel for whatever you need.
So who is like this like good for? So if someone is listening and they've never done, energy healing, or like why would someone come and see you for the first time? I guess is a better question.
Yeah. And everybody comes for different reasons. When I first went, it was for physical healing. The symptoms that I experienced in Lyme disease was debilitating.
Mm.
The pain was so excruciating that nothing was working. And so when I had my first Reiki session, I felt such a relief from the pain that I was like, this is magic. I need to know how to do this right now. Like,
Wow, I didn't realize that.
yeah. And then I learned it really quickly. How I teach it, it's more spread out. But for me, it was like I needed to learn this as fast as possible so that I could help myself.
Hmm.
And then it just evolved into me helping others. But then there's angel healing, there's channeling flowers, there's all different types of healing. And so coming to me for physical pain, emotional pain, wanting to tap deeper into your spirituality, just coming in to relax, just giving yourself an hour, hour and a half, however long you feel guided to choose, to just receive.
Hmm.
And a time when it is everything is for you.
Hmm.
Nobody else is involved. It's all just for you. And that's magical in itself.
Yeah,
It's
and that's so hard for moms, because that's mainly what
yes.
this podcast is for
Yeah.
moms to actually be able to receive versus giving all the time. And it's the hardest thing. And so many times I was thinking about this earlier, like we have the hardest time spending money on ourselves, but we will go out and like drop, $1,000 easily like on our kids travel sport or something like that, or buy
Mhm.
like $90 cleats, like just like that if they need them. But to do something for ourselves, we hem and haul and think about it like, no, I'm okay, or I'll wait till later.
Mhm.
We were just both talking about shoulder issues that we're having. I was like, yeah, we'll get to it. But it's so hard for us to take time for ourselves. And because a lot of how it was, I feel like before the pandemic was worse for me, just being like busy, 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 like jam packed, like day filled, like no minute goes wasted, or is quiet. There's always something in that spot on my calendar. Whereas now I give myself that time to have like open space to receive or to get quiet or to have me time. And I'm in a different space now than I was obviously when my kids were little and needed me a lot more. But I think that is one of the hardest things as moms is to recognize that like we need to also be receiving and not always giving.
I think moms especially, like, I mean, yeah, your whole focus, your whole life are these children, and they do need you. I mean, they're little
Of
beings. They
course.
can't be like, go get a
Yeah.
job and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
You're
But
7 now. Bye.
right,
Ride your bike to school.
right. But then it's
10
not
miles.
only, yeah, and it's not only your children, it's your work, it's your community, it's your
Yeah.
spouse. It's like everything else that you, I mean, it's like logical. We cannot give if we're empty. There's literally nothing to give.
Yeah.
And so, like, allowing yourselves to be filled and to be cherished and feel that divine love and to feel and know, to hear how special you are and what a gift you are to your family and community. I mean, that can be really special and you guys need
Yeah.
it.
It is. And it's just very so powerful because I think another thing is like, one of the questions I always ask is like, what do you love about yourself? Because we don't take that time. I feel I'm speaking for myself, but other people that I've talked to too, it's like we don't take that time to look at the gifts that we do have or what we love about ourselves. And we cheer everybody else on and everyone else's biggest cheerleader and supporter and can find the good in everyone else. But then we're so easy to rip ourselves apart. So, when you do a session and, I can't, I speak for anyone else, but even for me, like when you hear those things about yourself, it's very emotional because it's like, I don't know, like, okay, that's awesome. You see that in me or you see that for me,
Mhm.
but it's so hard sometimes to see that in yourself. So being able to receive what you're also saying can sometimes be hard if you're not used to hearing or saying those things to yourself too.
Definitely. Yeah. But I also feel like the more that you allow yourself to receive, the easier it will get and the better it will feel. And then it's like things will unfold that allow you that time and space to begin receiving more. And
Hmm.
then you show up more for other people. It just creates such a more harmonious life for you and
Yeah.
your family and everyone else you care for.
Yeah, which is so important. How did you, when you started, because I know you used to be a teacher too, like
Mhm.
what were you doing this kind of stuff like when you were also teaching and just didn't know what it was? Or like were you teaching and then something shifted or you moved and then got out of that and then kind of started this as a side hustle? Tell me about like that evolution from teaching, since I was a teacher as well, but that evolution from going from one thing into what you're doing now as an entrepreneur, like working your own schedule and your own, life and business.
Yeah, I like there was some overlapping time, but I've always been an entrepreneur. In
Yeah.
elementary school, I was making bracelets and selling them,
Yeah.
making Valentine's Day cards and like trying to sell them when I was little. So there's always been that desire. And after I had cancer, I became a health and wellness coach. And so I was doing that for a while. But then my mom passed away. I was infected with Lyme disease and we moved across the country. And I was like, I can't handle any of that anymore.
Yeah.
But then I started teaching. So I taught English in Japan. I love teaching English. And then, so I found a school where I could teach English, a Chinese school from here. But I kept getting sicker and sicker and sicker. And like I would be teaching online and I couldn't even move my head because my vertigo was so bad. And I was in just excruciating pain. But then when I found energy healing, so I kept doing that. But I almost all my symptoms from Lyme disease were healed within 6 months of doing energy healing and
So what
sound
kind
healing.
of symptoms did you have? Like, I'm just curious, like, I have known other people that have Lyme disease and I'm sure it can be different for everybody. What kind of
Yeah.
symptoms were you having?
For me, it was physical. It was muscle pain, joint pain, intermittent fevers, vertigo, brain fog, really bad. So bad, my husband thought I had early onset Alzheimer's.
Wow.
It was like I couldn't learn anymore. There was a disconnect in my brain. Um, Food allergies, like I became allergic to all animal flesh, all citrus, all nuts. It was
Wow.
wild.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. I'm sure there's more, but that's what I
Yeah,
can
that's a lot.
remember.
That's a lot,
It was a
Jackie.
lot. It was a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so for me to have like and I've always been a serious meditator, and so that just deepened my practice. I feel like meditation is a huge thing for healing your
Mhm.
mind, your body. It brings in that stillness, and
Mhm.
you can receive divine guidance even just from yourself in meditation. Um, but so learning Reiki, then started having clients, started learning other modalities, more clients,
Yeah.
until I was able to justify releasing the teaching job and just focusing on energy healing.
Yeah.
So,
Wow, that's so awesome. I love that. I mean, and I love that you have been an entrepreneur since you were little and being able to recognize that too. Not just like,
mhm.
oh, well, everyone was making bracelets or everybody was doing this and trying to do it. So, but no, it's you're an entrepreneur. Not everybody thinks that way. You know, not
Right.
everybody wants to do that or, have that as like a passion. So that's cool that you were doing that at a young age. And then it's not cool that you had Lyme's disease, but it led you to maybe
Hmm.
where you are today and how strong your passion is for energy healing because it happened to you.
Yeah. And I love it too. It's in us. It's you don't need any tools. I happen to use instruments because I love them. And I love crystals and all of that as well, but you only need yourself. Like
Mm,
you can with intention take your own hands and place them on your body, asking for healing energy to flow through them, and they will. And
mm,
so you think of a mother's touch, even. You think of how soothing that is, when you're a child, even just when you skin your knee and your mom touches you. I remember my mom even just blowing on,
yeah.
when you got a little cut or whatever. And just that love coming through her hands is powerful. And we all carry
Mhm,
that, that love.
mhm,
And like you said, you can go more scientific and just feel the energy of the earth in our own selves, and even the more spiritual side of it, opening up to the love of the divine, to angels and guides, just your love for each other. The love that a parent has for their child is so powerful. And
mhm,
so you can just imagine you're sending love from your hand to yourself and others, and you're doing energy healing.
mhm. Wow. Yeah, I was going to ask you about that because you said during meditation, like you can receive your own healing. And so you just explained that beautifully because I have done that with meditations or, when I do meditations, sometimes I do guided meditations
Mhm.
because I just want to see like, where will this lead me? And other times I will put music on. It's hard for me to sit quiet because I feel like when I do that, my mind wanders so much more versus
Mhm.
if I'm listening to something or someone or then I don't know why, but then I can clear my mind or just like it's a more successful experience for me. Or
Yeah,
I feel, and it doesn't always have to be productive. Like I have to get a message or I have to, it's like
right.
you said, like you're just open and clear and you don't force it and then you receive.
Mhm. Yeah. And and it does, like, I always recommend do short guided meditations in the beginning because our brains are busy, and
Hmm.
it's totally normal to, even in a guided meditation, start thinking about your laundry or you need to
Yeah.
go do this and that, and that's normal. And
Yeah.
like just gently bringing yourself back. Because I started with that, and then it went to music, and then it went silent. Um, the first time, I mean, I'd probably been meditating for almost 15 years before I had like a total silent
Yeah. Wow.
meditation, like where my brain was empty, and it freaked me out. So, yeah, that
Yeah.
was super weird.
Yeah. Is that what happens to you now? Like, does your mind go blank like now? And then like you start to see, like have, I don't want to say discussions with your guys, but it's like, yeah, you're having
It is
like,
discussions.
what's up? Tell
Yeah.
me what this is.
Yeah. Yeah. I can, because of my practice, I can drop
Yeah.
in pretty quickly and clear my mind. And then, yeah, start seeing things, hearing messages, connecting. And I do like intentionally, sometimes it's just like I'm open to receiving whatever the divine wants to bring me. And other times I specifically like when I connect with my ancestors or the earth or, whatever I feel will be of greatest benefit during that time. But
Yeah.
there are still times where my brain is still, there's so much going on that I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do this later.
Yeah. Right. I think it was last summer. I don't know, maybe it was this early this spring. Things just, pop up on social media and this guy had popped up and it was all about like grounding and earthing and things like that. And I was like, what is this? And so I watched his documentary and it was all about like that, like just like you were saying, like putting your feet on the earth and how, nowadays with like all the sneakers and all the stuff like in between your feet and the ground, because we're always wearing shoes,
Mhm.
just how that has been so detrimental to health too, because you're not touching the earth, like, and you're not maybe like putting your hands like in the dirt and, gardening, and even like you said, touching a tree or going and putting your feet in the sand. And so I watched that documentary, and then he has like products that you can purchase, especially if you're sitting like inside. And I
Mhm.
did, I bought like flip-flops that are like grounding flip-flops, and like you can have like a mat for your bed, and like something like if you're always sitting at the computer, you can have like a grounding mat. It's really interesting on like earthing, and like how you don't even think about it, but like how nature is so nurturing.
Mhm.
Just
Yeah,
going outside can like change your state.
absolutely. Yeah, we are disconnected from nature because of our lifestyle, and um it is just going outside, because I have like ever since I was little I suffered from depression and anxiety, and whenever anxiety starts kicking in for me, showing up, I stand barefoot and it's almost like the earth pulls it out. It's like and
Wow.
then I feel so much more relieved and calm, and
Mm.
that nervous energy, that anxiousness is gone.
Mhm. Do you do stuff, or when you talk to, or I mean, when you're in a session, like people are, they're laying down or doing their own thing or sleeping, doing
Mhm.
their own thing, but do you do anything or recommend like breathing or anything like that? Like if when we are out on our own, obviously, like if we can use our hands to like touch and kind of heal ourselves and like going outside. But I know for me too, like I think breath is so important. And, so many people think, oh, it's just you're breathing. I breathe every day. Like, what do you mean? And like, that's important. But even just teaching that to my kids about how that can just help them if they're nervous or on the mound or in a tough
Mhm.
position, or I have two strikes on me, what's about to happen, and just calming like the nervous system by focusing on your breath. Even a couple breaths can really change as well.
It's huge. We're shallow breathers. And so just like intentionally breathing, imagine you're breathing into your belly. You get that full breath in and out. And like you said, it's only like one or two, even three. If you want to place your hand on your heart, a hand on your stomach, like it just sets that intention and your body just starts relaxing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just such like simple things. I feel like we have just overcomplicated everything in
Hmm.
society, where it's like back to the basics of like how to just be a human. So it's like breathing, like, like healing yourself, or just using your hands. Or I like sometimes will just rub my hands together and just like feel them on my
Yeah.
face. I'm like, oh my
Yes.
gosh, like look, look at that. I don't know.
Yes.
Just makes me happy. Or it's like, or rub them like on my legs, like just to kind of like feel my legs, like feel them,
Mhm.
like here they are, like here's my arms. Just
Yes.
simple things like that, where I'm like, I don't even know where that's coming from, but it's just like, okay, like getting back into my body,
Mhm.
versus like out of my head sometimes, where it's like you have those negative things like going or thinking, and then you just catapult, and it's like one thing, and then oh, here's another thing, and then sometimes it's just like, okay, like stop for a second, like let me get back to, okay, let's get, here I am. Like here I
Yes.
am, like let's get out of my head for a minute. And yeah, these simple things where it's like, what is this, like what does this even do? But there, it does do something.
It's yeah, and like you said, I mean that's such a good point of we live in our heads. We overthink everything, all of us do. And so connecting back to your body and just feeling it, touching it, like you said, like, oh, this
Yeah.
is our bodies are incredible and we have everything we need in it.
Yeah.
It's like it's self-healing, it's incredible. Even just feeling our emotions, allowing ourselves to feel everything, how healing that can be. And even like I was thinking while you were talking to humming, you're vibrating your body, you're helping to clear your own energy, it's soothing, it like calms your nervous system down, it helps with pain, and
Mhm.
that's again just you,
Mhm.
and it's really powerful too.
Yeah. And I think, going back to when you were talking about like the chakras and stuff like that too, and like your throat chakra and
Mhm.
using your voice. And that's like for me, one of the, reasons for this podcast is like using your voice, sharing your story, having your voice be heard, sticking up for yourself, reawakening who you are. It's like using your voice to talk and share your message and share what you have in your heart. And so many times, like, even it's like, well, I can't sing, like, I'm not going to sing. But it's like, I love that you just said that humming. My dad hums like all the time, or is like whistling all the time.
Yes.
It's like, oh, there he is. Like he's over
Yeah.
coming around the corner. But always. And so it's funny, but it's so powerful to be like, oh, your own voice and what that sounds like, and chanting or om like at the end of like a yoga
Mhm.
practice. And it's like, oh gosh, I don't want anybody to like hear me, but it does when you start to do it. It's so powerful, even hearing like the sound of your voice.
Mhm.
It's like powerful to be like, that's me, like I sound
Yeah. Yeah, and our bodies have been done research that our bodies do respond faster and easier to the sound of the human voice over any other instrument.
like. Hmm.
So our voices and each other's voices with that intention is incredibly powerful for
Hmm.
healing and connection.
Yeah.
We are meant to connect, and we can connect with our voices. You think of, we've lost the being around a campfire, singing together, that kind of thing. That hasn't been in our culture for way too long. Just
Yeah.
that community and sharing, with singing and dancing and playing
Yeah.
instruments.
Right. Because we're just like looking at like our phones all the time. You're like
Mhm.
watching other people do it. It's like, oh, look at other
Exactly.
people are doing that. That seems
Right.
interesting.
Yeah.
No, I love that. No, I really do. Now I'm like, we need to like have something around here. Need to make something. That sounds so fun. But oh well, I always look at the time because I'm like, crap, I just held my phone up and I'm like, these conversations can go on forever. So I totally just thank you so much for being here. Is there anything that you feel is like on your heart or that you haven't shared, just that you wanna say real quick before we end this amazing conversation?
What's coming to my mind is just to remember that everything you need is within you. Like all the wisdom of the universe is in your heart. And
Mhm.
so it's just reaching in and bringing it forward, going within. Your answers are in you.
Mhm.
And whatever your spiritual practice is, it's perfect.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
it's a beautiful connection.
Oh, thank you for sharing that. And I hinted about it earlier because I always ask, what do you love about yourself? So, Jacquie, what do you love about yourself right now?
Um, it's interesting because I can always do this for other people.
Right,
Like
exactly my
for
point.
myself. Yeah, no,
You can take a minute.
I am very compassionate. I genuinely love people
Mhm.
and think they are like I'm getting emotional.
Aw, because you're so compassionate. It's from the heart.
People are magnificent. We really are incredible, beautiful beings with a capacity of such good and magic. We are
Mm,
incredible. And my heart's desire is that people realize that and
yeah.
feel that love
Mhm.
because we are magic.
Yeah. I'm like, I like always feel your energy whenever we do a session. Like I feel like I've like felt your vibe like coming through like in my arms. Like I feel like I have goosebumps right now, even though I have like a heavy sweater on. I feel that, and I know that that message. Hopefully, I would hope that that message gets out to people, and that they really realize that they are magic and they are magnificent. And the more good that we can put out into the world, the world needs healing. And I think the more people that can realize that they have the power to heal, even just starting in their small ecosystem of themselves and then maybe their family, and it just branches out and just, I don't know, reverberates. I don't know what the word I'm looking for,
Hmm. Hmm.
ripples out to
Yeah.
other people, then, the world will just be such a better place. So thank you for sharing that, Jacquie.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's been amazing. Thanks so much.